Hello, my wonderful listeners. Welcome back to Daily English Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Emma, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. Wherever you are, walking in the park, sitting on your balcony with a cup of tea, or maybe winding down after a long day, this episode is just for you. Let me begin with a simple question. Is public speaking a skill everyone should learn? Sounds serious, right? But think about it. Have you ever had to speak in front of people? Maybe in school, during a meeting, at a wedding, or even online? Do you remember how it felt? That little rush in your chest, sweaty hands, dry throat, mind racing? Yes? Then welcome to the club, because you're not alone. Even the most confident people have felt it. But here's the truth. Public speaking is not just a skill. It's a superpower. It can change how you express yourself, how people see you, and how you show up in the world. And guess what? You don't need a stage. You don't need a spotlight. You just need your voice and the courage to use it. In today's episode, we'll explore why public speaking is so important, how it helps you in everyday life, and how anyone, yes, even you, can learn to speak with clarity and confidence. So, take a deep breath, grab your favorite drink, get comfy, because this isn't just a podcast, it's a moment of transformation. Let's begin this journey together. Public speaking. When you hear those two words, what comes to mind? A stage? A spotlight? A room full of eyes staring back at you? That's the image most of us carry. But let me tell you something important. Public speaking is not just about standing behind a podium with a microphone. At its core, it's about communication. Clear, confident, human communication. It happens in everyday life. When you introduce yourself in a class, when you share an idea at work, when you give advice to a friend, or even when you're posting a voice note or video online. Public speaking is not about being loud, it's about being understood. And in a world full of noise, the ability to express yourself clearly is a powerful gift. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had a great idea, but you didn't know how to say it? Have you ever kept quiet because you were unsure how people would react? That's the struggle of so many people. They have brilliant minds, kind hearts, meaningful stories, but their voices are locked away behind fear or doubt. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine if you could share your thoughts openly with confidence. Imagine walking into a room and knowing that your voice matters. That people will listen not because you're perfect, but because you're authentic. That's the true power of public speaking. It's not just for politicians, actors, or CEOs. It's for teachers. It's for students. It's for parents, creators, travelers, freelancers. It's for everyone who has something to say. And trust me, we all do. Let's think about the people who've made a difference in your life. Maybe a teacher who gave a speech that stayed with you, or a speaker whose TED Talk made you cry, or someone in your family who told a story that changed how you see the world. What did they do? They didn't just speak, they connected. They used their voice to reach your heart. That's what great public speaking is. It's not performance, it's presence. And maybe you're thinking, Emma, but I'm shy. I hate speaking in front of people. That's perfectly okay. You know why? Because public speaking is not a talent you're born with. It's a skill, and that means anyone can learn it. Even the best speakers you admire today, they all started somewhere. They stumbled, They forgot lines. They were nervous, just like you. But they didn't stop. They practiced, step by step, word by word. And with time, they discovered something powerful, that their voice had the power to change lives. And so does yours. Whether it's to inspire, to teach, to lead, or just to say, I matter, I belong, I have something to say. That's why public speaking matters. So today, I invite you to think of it not as a scary task, but as an opportunity, an invitation to show the world who you truly are. Your words carry weight. Your voice can move hearts. And when you learn to use it, doors begin to open, both inside and outside. Public speaking isn't just about speaking in public. It's about finding your voice and letting it lead. Now that we understand why public speaking matters, let's talk about something even more surprising: how often you actually use it. Because here's the truth: public speaking is not limited to a stage or a speech. In fact, you're already doing it every single day. Let me give you a few examples. You're in a classroom. The teacher asks a question. You raise your hand. That's public speaking. You're in a meeting at work. Someone asks for your opinion. You speak up. That's public speaking. You're at a family dinner, and your relatives ask, "So, what are you planning next in life?" And suddenly, all eyes are on you. Yup, that's public speaking too. Even hitting record on a video or voice note, talking to your team online, presenting an idea to your classmates, or simply introducing yourself to a new group, these are all moments where you speak in front of others. And you know what? Those little moments, they matter just as much as standing on a stage. Let me share a quick story. A friend of mine, let's call her Asha, once told me she never wanted to do public speaking. She said, "Emma, I'm not a speaker. I just want to work quietly and do my job." But one day, her manager asked her to explain a project in a team meeting. She got nervous, but she did it. And after the meeting, her manager said, "Asha, you should lead the next one. You're really good at explaining things." And just like that, she discovered a strength she never knew she had. That's what happens when you take small steps. You discover that your voice, no matter how quiet, no matter how unsure, can have an impact. Now, let's paint a picture together. Imagine you're in a job interview. They ask, "Tell me about yourself." You take a deep breath, you speak clearly with calm confidence. You share your experience, your passion, your goals. That's not just answering a question, that's owning your moment. Or you're giving a toast at your best friend's wedding. Everyone's watching, you speak from the heart. You make people laugh, you make them tear up. That's not just a speech, that's a memory you created. Or maybe you're applying for college or a scholarship. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself on video. What you say and how you say it can open a door to your future. These are all real, everyday moments, and guess what? The people who do well in these situations are not always the smartest or the most experienced. They're often the ones who can speak with clarity, calmness, and heart. And the best part? That can be you. Because when you learn to speak clearly, people notice you, they remember you, they trust you. And in today's world, where communication is everything, that trust is gold. Whether it's your classroom, your workplace, a stage, or even your Instagram story, your ability to speak can help you grow, not just professionally, but personally, emotionally, socially. So the next time you think, "Oh, I don't need public speaking," pause, look at your life, and you'll see it's everywhere. And when you start paying attention to these little moments, you'll realize every time you speak, you have the chance to lead, to influence, to connect, to inspire. And isn't that something worth learning? Okay, let's get real for a moment. We've talked about why public speaking matters and how it shows up in everyday life. But there's still something we can't ignore, something that holds so many people back. It's one small word, but it feels so big. Fear. Yes, that nervous, shaky, stomach-turning feeling, the sweaty palms, the dry throat, the racing heart. You want to speak, but your body says nope. And trust me, if you've ever felt that way, you are not alone. In fact, studies show that the fear of public speaking, called glossophobia, is one of the most common fears in the world. It ranks higher than spiders, even higher than the fear of flying. Now, why is that? Why does the idea of standing up and speaking make us so uncomfortable? Let's unpack that. There are two big reasons most people fear public speaking. 1. Fear of being judged. You might think, what if I say something stupid? What if they laugh at me? What if I mess up and everyone sees it? These thoughts are so common. We're afraid of how people might see us, afraid of embarrassing ourselves, afraid of not being perfect. And that fear, it keeps our mouths shut. It convinces us to stay silent, even when we have something beautiful to say. But here's the truth. Nobody is perfect, not even the best speakers. They make mistakes, they fumble, they forget lines. But do you know what makes them great? They keep going, they connect, they speak from the heart. And people don't remember perfect speakers, they remember authentic ones. 2. Fear of failure. Sometimes it's not just about others, it's about us. We say things like, I'm not good at this, I'm too shy, I don't belong on that stage. These are limiting beliefs, little stories we tell ourselves, stories that keep us small. But what if I told you that those stories are not facts? They're just thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. Let me tell you a quick personal story. The very first time I had to speak in front of a group, my hands were literally shaking. I forgot half of what I had prepared. I rushed through my words. And when I sat down, I thought, well, that was a disaster. But then something unexpected happened. Someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I loved that part where you talked about your childhood. It felt real." And that's when I realized, even in the mess, people were listening. Even in the nervousness, my message reached someone. That tiny moment changed everything for me. Because here's a secret, fear doesn't mean stop, it means you care. And anything worth doing will feel a little scary in the beginning. Now, let me ask you, have you ever missed an opportunity because of fear? Have you stayed silent when you wanted to speak up? Have you watched someone else shine and thought, that could have been me? If yes, then this is your sign. You are not broken. You are not too shy. You are growing. Fear is normal, but letting it rule you, that's a choice. And today, we're choosing differently. We're choosing courage. Remember, courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to speak even when your voice shakes. So the next time your heart races, your palms sweat, and your thoughts spiral, take a breath, feel the fear, and speak anyway. Because on the other side of fear is your power. All right, my friend, we've explored the fear. Now it's time to shift the focus. Let's talk about what happens when you face that fear and learn to speak with confidence. Because when you do, something powerful starts to happen. Actually, many things. Let me walk you through the incredible benefits of learning public speaking, and I want you to imagine each one as a door. Each time you grow in this skill, another door opens. Door 1, confidence. This is the big one. When you learn to speak in front of others, you start to feel something shift inside. That nervous energy, it becomes fuel. That voice of doubt, it starts to fade. Every time you speak up, your self-trust grows. You begin to think, hey, maybe I can do this. And you don't just believe it in your head. You feel it in your body, your posture, your voice. You walk into rooms differently. You hold your space. You stop shrinking yourself. And that kind of confidence, it doesn't stay on the stage. It flows into every area of your life. Door 2, clear communication. Let me ask you something. Have you ever struggled to explain your thoughts clearly? Have you ever had so many ideas but no idea how to say them? That's where public speaking helps. It teaches you how to organize your thoughts, how to go from just talking to really saying something. Whether you're giving a presentation, telling a story, or answering a tough question, you learn to stay calm, collected, and clear. You stop rambling, you stop second-guessing, you start connecting. Door 3, leadership. Yes, you heard that right. Public speaking helps you become a leader. Why? Because people follow those who communicate well. Think about it. Would you follow someone who mumbles, hesitates, or hides behind silence? Or would you follow someone who speaks with calm strength? Someone who makes you feel seen, heard, and inspired? Whether you're leading a team, teaching a class, or starting a movement, your voice is your tool of leadership. And learning how to use it, that's power. Door 4, connection. Let's be real. Today, the world is noisy. There are so many voices competing for attention. But people don't want noise. They want connection. They want truth. They want something that feels real. And that's what great public speaking does. It's not about big words. It's not about sounding smart. It's about being real. When you speak from the heart, when you share a story, a lesson, an idea, you give people something to feel. And that feeling, that's what they remember. Door 5, new opportunities. Let me tell you something exciting. Every time you speak up, you open a door to something new. Maybe someone in the room is looking for a voice like yours. Maybe your message inspires a team. Maybe you're offered a role, a job, a chance, just because you had the courage to speak. Public speaking is a magnet for opportunity because people notice confident voices, and when they do, they start imagining you in bigger roles. So yes, learning to speak can literally change your career, your education, your future. And here's the part I love the most. You don't have to wait years to feel these benefits. You can start experiencing them after just a few steps. The first time you raise your hand in class, the first time you speak in a meeting, the first time you share a story in front of a small group. Each small act builds you. Each small step moves you forward. Let me remind you of this. You already have something to say. You already have a voice. You just need to trust it, train it, and share it. So don't wait to become perfect. Start now. Start messy. Start scared. Just start. Because once you begin this journey, once you discover the speaker inside you, you'll never see yourself the same way again. Coming up next, we're going to explore real stories of famous speakers who were once afraid, just like you and me, and how they turned fear into fuel. Don't go anywhere. You'll love what's next. So far, we've talked about why public speaking matters, how it shows up in everyday life, what scares us about it, and the amazing benefits it brings. But now, let's tackle a big, honest question. Emma, can anyone really learn public speaking? And my answer from the deepest part of my heart is yes, absolutely, without a doubt. Anyone. That means you. Yes, you, listening right now. You don't need to be born a natural speaker. You don't need to have a loud voice or a big personality or perfect English. Public speaking is not some magical gift handed out to a lucky few. It is a skill. just like driving a car, just like learning to swim, just like cooking your first meal without burning it. At first, you might feel awkward, you might stumble, you might even want to give up. But the more you do it, the better you get, the stronger your voice becomes, and the less power fear has over you. Let me tell you a story. There's a boy named Samir. He grew up in a small village, quiet, introverted. He never liked speaking in front of people. One day, his teacher asked him to speak during the school assembly. He froze, literally froze. Not a single word came out. The entire school was watching, and he felt humiliated, embarrassed. But that wasn't the end. That teacher pulled him aside and said, "Samir, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up." So Samir practiced in front of a mirror with friends. He read poems out loud, gave small talks in class. Little by little, his voice changed, his fear shrank. Fast forward to today, he now trains students in communication and confidence. And that's not a fairy tale, that's real. If Samir can do it, if I can do it, then so can you. So let's break this down. What does learning public speaking actually look like? Step 1, start small. Talk to a friend, introduce yourself in a group, read aloud. The smaller the beginning, the stronger the foundation. Step 2, practice out loud, not in your head, out loud. Record yourself, listen back, improve your tone, pacing, and clarity. Step 3, get feedback. Ask someone you trust. Was I clear? Did I rush? How did I sound? Feedback is gold when it's kind and honest. Step 4, repeat. Yes, repetition is your best friend. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And let me tell you, you don't have to become a stage speaker unless you want to. Even just learning to speak confidently in meetings, in interviews, or on a video call can change your entire life. Want to know something else? Shy people, they often make the most thoughtful speakers. Soft voices, they're often the most powerful because people lean in to listen. Introverts, they connect deeply because they speak with intention. So please don't count yourself out just because you don't look or sound like a typical speaker. There is no typical speaker. There's only your voice and how you choose to shape it. Final truth for this section: public speaking is not about ego. It's about service. It's about giving, sharing, uplifting. It's about using your voice to help, to teach, to connect. And if you have a story to tell, an idea to express, a message that matters, then yes, public speaking is not only something you can learn, it's something the world needs you to learn. Because someone, somewhere, is waiting to hear your voice. Coming up next, we'll look at some of the world's greatest speakers. And guess what? They weren't born fearless. They were once beginners, just like you. Let's meet them right after this. All right, this next part is one of my favorites because sometimes we need proof. We need real-life examples to remind us that even the most iconic public speakers once stood where you stand today, nervous, unsure, and learning. So let's meet some of them. Number 1, Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, a business legend. But did you know? As a young man, he was terrified of public speaking. So much so, he avoided classes that required presentations. He even said he'd rather face a snake than speak in front of a group. But then he took a public speaking course. He forced himself to practice, and over time, he grew confident. Today, he says that course was the most valuable investment he ever made. Not stocks, not real estate, speaking. Number 2, Michelle Obama, former First Lady, one of the most beloved speakers in the world. But growing up, she didn't always believe in her voice. She once said, "I still sometimes doubt myself. I still get nervous before I speak." Yet every speech she gives is thoughtful, emotional, and powerful. Why? Because she prepared, she practiced, she let her truth guide her words. Number 3, Elon Musk, tech genius, innovator, billionaire. But public speaker? That didn't come naturally. Early in his career, Elon was often awkward on stage. His tone was flat, his body language stiff. People even laughed at how he spoke. But guess what? He kept showing up. He got coaching. He got better. And now, millions listen closely when he speaks because his words carry ideas that change the world. These people weren't born fearless. They weren't born great speakers. They started small, they struggled, they practiced. They had self-doubt, but they didn't stop. And you know what's most inspiring? None of them speak perfectly. They speak authentically, with their own voice, flaws, and all. So the next time you think, I could never do that, I'm not good enough, I'll mess up, just remember, even the world's best had to start somewhere, and your somewhere could be today, right now, with this very podcast, opening your mind and maybe opening your future. Because if Warren, Michelle, and Elon can step into their voice, so can you. Now, let's make it personal. In the next section, I'm going to share some super simple, practical tips on how you can start becoming a more confident speaker today. No pressure, no judgment, just easy, friendly steps. Let's keep going. Okay, my friend. Now that we know public speaking isn't just for the famous or fearless, let's talk about you. How can you get better? Where do you start? Do you need to join a big speaking course? Stand on a stage with bright lights? Not at all. You start small. You start real. You start today. So, here are 7 simple, powerful steps to help you grow your public speaking skills, no matter who you are or where you're starting from. Step 1. Talk to yourself. Yes, really. It sounds funny, right? But it works. Start by talking to yourself out loud, in front of a mirror or while doing chores. Say things like, here's what I learned today. This is how my morning went. I want to explain this idea. The goal? Get comfortable hearing your own voice. Train your mind to think out loud. This is the first step toward confidence. Step 2. Record yourself. Use your phone. Just press record. Talk about your day or explain something you enjoy. Then listen back. Yes, it may feel awkward at first, but that's the magic. You'll start to notice your voice, tone, and pace, and you'll improve without even realizing it. Pro tip? Don't be harsh. Be curious. Be kind to yourself. Step 3. Join the conversation. You don't need a big audience. Start speaking up in small moments. At family dinners, in group chats, during office meetings. Say one more sentence than usual. Ask one thoughtful question. Share one opinion. Tiny moments build big confidence. Step 4. Use the power of pause. A great speaker doesn't rush. They pause, they breathe, they let their words land. So practice this. Say a sentence and pause. Let silence support your speech. It shows confidence, it adds drama, and it gives your listener time to feel your words. Step 5. Watch and learn. One of the best ways to improve, watch great speakers. TED Talks, YouTube, even award speeches. But don't just watch, analyze. What do they do with their hands? How do they open their talk? Do they tell stories? Do they smile? Study them like you're learning a new language, because, in a way, you are. The language of confident communication. Step 6. Practice with a friend or your pet. Yes, even your dog counts. Practice telling a short story to someone, or explain something simple, like how to cook your favorite dish. The act of sharing ideas out loud builds fluency and flow. Don't wait for a formal stage. Every conversation is practice. Step 7, start saying yes. You know those moments when someone asks, "Can you speak about this? Would you like to introduce yourself?" And everything in you screams, "No!" That's the moment. Say yes. Even if your voice shakes, even if it's not perfect. Because the more you say yes to speaking, the easier it gets. You grow faster than you think. So, there you have it. 7 small steps. No spotlight needed. Just a little courage, a little effort, and a lot of belief in your voice. Because your voice, it's not just sound. It's a message, a moment, a gift. And someone out there needs to hear it. Coming up next, we're going to break down the top 5 mistakes new speakers make and how you can avoid them like a pro. Stay with me, we're just getting started.
All right, my friend. You've started practicing. You're building confidence. You're saying yes to more speaking moments. But even the best speakers make mistakes. And beginners? Well, we all start somewhere. So let me help you skip the most common traps. Here are the top 5 mistakes new speakers make, and most importantly, how to avoid them like a pro. Mistake 1, speaking too fast. We all do it, especially when we're nervous. Our heart races, our mouth follows, and suddenly we're flying through our words like a runaway train. The fix: breathe, pause, slow down. Try this. Speak like you're telling a story to a child. Calm, clear, one thought at a time. Your listeners need time to feel what you're saying. Mistake 2, memorizing every word. This is a big one. New speakers often think, "I need to memorize the entire speech or I'll mess up." But the truth? That makes you sound robotic, or worse, frozen when you forget one word. The fix: learn the idea, not the script. Know your key points. Practice transitions, but speak naturally, as if you're having a conversation. It's okay to be human. In fact, it's better. Mistake 3, ignoring body language. You may be saying all the right words, but if your arms are stiff, your shoulders tight, and your face blank, your audience feels the tension. The fix: use your hands, smile, make eye contact. Let your body match your message. Even on video calls, sit tall, gesture softly, and let your expression speak too. Confidence isn't just in your words, it's in your whole presence. Mistake 4, trying to sound perfect. We've all tried to sound smart, serious, polished. But here's the secret: people don't want perfect, they want real. The fix: drop the pressure to perform. Be warm, be honest, be you. Even a small mistake, a laugh, a pause, it makes you relatable, and relatability creates connection. Mistake 5, ending without a message. Ever heard a speaker finish and you think, "Wait, what was the point?" That's because they didn't land the plane. They talked but didn't leave a takeaway. The fix: end strong. Even if it's one line, say something clear and memorable. So, what I'm saying is, here's the big idea. If you remember one thing today, let it be this. That final message, that's what sticks. So, let's recap those 5 mistakes to avoid. Don't speak too fast. Don't memorize every word. Don't forget your body language. Don't chase perfection. And don't end without a clear message. Simple, right? Now you know what to skip. You're already 10 steps ahead. In the next part, we'll explore something really fun: the secret power of storytelling in public speaking. why stories stick, how to tell them, and how even your life stories can become your greatest tool on stage. Let's keep going. You're doing amazing.
Let me ask you something. Do you remember the last story that gave you goosebumps? Maybe it was a movie, a childhood memory, or a simple story someone told that just stayed with you. Here's the truth. Stories are how we connect. They're how humans have communicated since the beginning of time. Before we had books or microphones, we had stories around campfires, in families, and in communities. And guess what? As a speaker, you have that same power. Why stories matter in public speaking. When you speak facts, people might nod, but when you tell a story, people feel something. They see themselves in your journey. They remember the lesson without even realizing it. That's the power of storytelling. It transforms information into emotion, and emotion is what makes people listen, care, and remember. The science behind it. Yes, there's actual science here. When you tell a story, your audience's brains light up. Not just the language part, but the sensory parts too. If you describe walking through a forest, their brains imagine the leaves, the wind, the smell. That's how deep storytelling goes. What kind of stories should you tell? Here's the best part. You don't need dramatic or perfect stories. You need real stories, simple moments that made you learn something. A time you failed and got back up, a funny thing your child said that taught you a lesson, a conversation that changed your thinking. Small stories, big message. A simple storytelling formula. Let me give you a little tool, a simple 3-step formula. The setup. What was the situation? Where were you? What was happening? The struggle. What went wrong? What challenge did you face? The shift. What did you learn? What changed because of it? That's it. Setup, struggle, shift. A mini story with a powerful punch. Let me show you with a quick personal story. Setup. A few years ago, I had to give a speech at a wedding. Big room, fancy guests. I was terrified. Struggle. My voice cracked, my hands shook, I even lost my place in the middle. Shift. But at the end, people came up to me and said, "Thank you, that felt so real." That day, I learned something huge. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be honest. Why you should start sharing your stories. You might be thinking, but my life isn't interesting. Let me tell you something from my heart. Your life is more powerful than you think. You've seen things, you've overcome things, you've laughed, you've cried, you've grown. That's gold. And when you share that truthfully, people listen, they lean in, they learn. So if you remember just one thing from this part, let it be this. Facts tell, but stories sell. Stories inspire, stories connect, and your story matters. In the next part, we're going to explore how public speaking can unlock amazing opportunities in career, confidence, and life. So stay with me. This journey is just getting better. Let me take you into the real world now. We've talked about confidence, we've talked about storytelling, but what happens when you actually start using your voice? What's the reward? What's the real-life magic that happens when you become a better speaker? Let's dive in. 1. New doors start opening. The first thing you'll notice? Opportunities start showing up. Not because the world suddenly changes, but because you do. You start raising your hand in meetings. You speak up in interviews. You say yes to events you once avoided. People notice that. Confidence attracts connection. That one speech you give, it could lead to a job, a client, or even a friendship. 2. It gives you a career superpower. In the professional world, good communication is everything. You could be the most skilled person in the room, but if you can't express your ideas, someone else might get the credit or the promotion. Public speaking is like adding a bright spotlight to your skills. It helps people see your value. And in today's world, the one who communicates well often leads. 3. It makes you a leader even if you're not the boss. Let's be clear. You don't need a title to be a leader. You need a voice that people trust. When you can speak clearly, calmly, and with purpose, people listen. You become the person they turn to for clarity, for comfort, for decisions. It's not about being loud. It's about being clear and real. That's leadership. 4. It builds inner confidence. You know that feeling when you do something you thought you couldn't? That quiet little fire that lights up inside? That's what happens when you face your fear of speaking. Every time you step up, your confidence muscle grows. And it's not just about speaking. You start believing in yourself in every part of life. In conversations, in relationships, even in moments of silence. You feel stronger. 5. It helps you make an impact. You know what I love most about public speaking? It lets you make a difference. Whether you're teaching someone something new, sharing your journey, or simply making someone smile, you're leaving a mark on someone's heart. And let me tell you this, you never know who needs to hear your words today. Public speaking isn't just about talking. It's about touching lives. It's about showing up for yourself and for others. And guess what? The more you speak, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you give. And that's what makes life meaningful. So, if you're still wondering whether public speaking is for you, let me say this clearly. Yes, it is. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be brave enough to begin. In the next section, I'll show you how to start small and grow big with real techniques to build your public speaking muscle. You're doing great. Let's keep going together.
All right, my friends. Now that we know why public speaking matters, let's talk about how you can start right where you are. Because here's a beautiful truth. You don't need a stage to be a speaker. You don't need a spotlight to start shining. You just need the courage to take one small step. Let's break it down. 1. Speak to the mirror. Sounds simple, right? But this little habit, it's powerful. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. Introduce yourself. Tell a short story. Explain your day like you're on a podcast. Watch your body language. Notice your tone. And most importantly, get comfortable with your own voice. You are your first audience. Win yourself over first. 2. Record your voice. Yes, your voice sounds different on tape. Yes, it might feel weird at first. But guess what? That's your voice, and it's beautiful. Record yourself talking for 1 minute a day. Talk about anything, your favorite food, a recent memory, or a quote you love. Then play it back. Listen with love, not judgment. Over time, this helps you notice where you pause naturally, what words you emphasize, how confident you sound. It's like watching your growth in real time. 3. Read aloud every day. This one's simple and fun. Pick a book, a blog post, even your journal, and read it aloud. Why? Because it helps you improve pronunciation, practice tone and pacing, build vocal strength, and it's a great warm-up before any speaking moment, big or small. Make it a ritual. 5 minutes a day. Your voice deserves practice. 4. Join a safe speaking space. You don't have to do this alone. There are safe spaces everywhere. Online groups, community classes, even social media lives or audio chat rooms. Find a space where mistakes are welcome and where growth is celebrated, because growth is messy, and that's okay. Remember, the best speakers were once shy. They just chose to keep showing up.
5. Use tiny talks in real life. You don't have to give a speech to speak well. Start small. Ask a question in a meeting. Share a story at dinner. Give a toast at a friend's birthday. These are your practice grounds. Each tiny moment builds your confidence. Each word you speak makes your voice braver. Before you know it, you're no longer trying to speak. You're simply speaking, naturally, powerfully, you. Let me tell you something from the heart. You don't have to wait until you feel ready. Start now, even if your hands shake, even if your voice cracks. Because every speaker you admire once whispered their first words before they ever roared. So, take that step today. Speak in front of your mirror. Record that 1-minute voice note. Say yes to one speaking moment this week. And remember, you're not aiming to be perfect. You're learning to be real, and real is what people connect to. Coming up next, in part 12, we're diving into the fears. Yes, those butterflies in your stomach, and how to turn nervous energy into powerful stage presence. You won't want to miss it.
Okay, now let's talk about the butterflies. You know, that flutter in your stomach, the sweaty palms, the racing heart, the shaky voice. Yes, we're talking about stage fright, that uncomfortable feeling we all get right before we speak. But here's the truth, my friend. Fear doesn't mean you're not ready. It means you care. Everyone feels it. Let's get one thing clear. Even the most confident speakers, the ones who light up stages and inspire millions, still feel nervous. Actors, CEOs, TED Talk legends, they all deal with it. Stage fright isn't a weakness, it's energy. And when you learn how to use that energy, you become unstoppable, transforming nerves into fuel. Imagine this. You're about to speak. Your heart's pounding. Your hands are cold. Pause. Breathe. Now tell yourself this. This is my body preparing to do something powerful. This isn't fear, it's fuel. My voice is strong, my story matters. It sounds simple, but repeating these words changes how your brain processes fear. You're not shrinking, you're rising. Try this simple trick before speaking. Here's a tip I personally love. Right before you speak, do a power pose. Yes, really. Stand tall, feet shoulder-width apart, hands on hips like a superhero. Chin up, deep breath. Stay like that for 1 full minute. Studies show it reduces stress and boosts confidence. You're telling your body, I'm safe, I'm strong, I've got this. Speak from your truth. Here's another secret to calming your fear. Don't try to be perfect, just be real. People don't connect with flawless robots. They connect with humans, with heart, with honesty. So if your voice shakes a little, if you forget a word, it's okay. Just keep going. Your message matters more than your mistakes. Let the fear flow through. Think of fear like a wave. It rises, it crashes, and then it fades. Don't fight it. Let it pass through you. Take a deep breath, smile gently, focus on your first sentence and nothing else. Once you start, something beautiful happens. The fear fades and your voice takes over. Remember this. The people listening to you, they want you to succeed. They're rooting for you. No one's judging your voice like you think they are. In fact, they'll be inspired by your courage because it reminds them of their own. So the next time fear visits you, welcome it. Thank it for showing up. Then speak anyway. Because every time you speak, your courage grows louder, and fear, it grows quieter. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave for 1 more minute than your fear.
Coming up next, in part 13, we're going to explore how public speaking can actually change your career, relationships, and confidence in ways you never imagined. Trust me, it's going to be powerful.
All right, my friend. Now that we've talked about stage fright, let's talk about the reward, the gift that's waiting for you on the other side of your fear. Because learning to speak in public doesn't just make you a good communicator, it can literally change your life. Let me show you how. 1. It opens career doors you never knew existed. Picture this. You're in a meeting. Everyone's silent. The manager asks, "Who wants to lead this project?" You raise your hand. You speak clearly. Everyone listens. And in that one moment, you're no longer just another employee. You're a leader. Public speaking builds your visibility, your confidence, and your credibility. Whether you're applying for a job, leading a team, or pitching an idea, your voice becomes your power. 2. It improves everyday communication. You don't need a microphone to be a public speaker. You speak in public when you ask for a promotion, explain your thoughts in a group, resolve a conflict, propose to someone you love. Learning public speaking improves your ability to think clearly, listen actively, and express yourself with calm clarity. Suddenly, awkward silences vanish, conversations feel easier, and you start building stronger, more meaningful connections. 3. It builds deep, unshakable confidence. Here's a beautiful truth. Every time you speak, your belief in yourself grows. Public speaking teaches you to trust your voice, believe in your message, stand in your own light, even when you're scared, even when you're shaking. Because confidence isn't loud, it's quiet, calm, rooted in self-respect. And when you learn to speak with heart, you carry that strength into every part of your life. 5. It helps you create impact. Have you ever heard someone speak and felt changed after? Words have the power to inspire, to comfort, to lead revolutions. You don't have to be famous to make an impact. You just have to speak up. In your classroom, your community, your company, your home. Your story might be the light someone else needs. Your message might spark someone's courage. Your voice might shift a room. Never underestimate the ripple effect of one honest voice. 5. It unlocks new paths. Sometimes the life you dream of is just one brave conversation away. Maybe you're meant to become a mentor, a coach, a storyteller, a change maker. Public speaking doesn't just teach you how to talk, it teaches you how to lead. It helps you step out of the shadows and into your purpose. So if you've ever asked yourself, can I really be a good speaker? Let me say this with love and certainty. Yes, you can. Because being a great speaker isn't about being loud. It's about real. It's about using your voice to lift others, to share truth, and to lead with heart. Coming up next, in part 14, we'll wrap up this journey by sharing some simple, practical steps to help you start your public speaking path today, even if you're starting from zero. You won't want to miss it. I'll be right here cheering you on. Welcome back, my friend. So, we've talked about the fear. We've talked about the power. And now, it's time to take the first step. You don't need to wait for a stage or a spotlight or a perfect moment. You just need to begin right where you are. Let's walk through it step by step. Step 1. Start by speaking to yourself. Sounds simple, right? But it's powerful. Stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. Look into your own eyes. Speak your thoughts out loud. You might feel silly at first. That's okay. But this is your safe space. You're learning to trust your voice. Talk about your day. Share an idea. Explain something you love.
Do it every day for 2 to 3 minutes. Your confidence will quietly begin to grow. Step 2. Practice with your phone. Record yourself speaking. Yes, hit that voice memo or camera button. Talk for 1 minute about what you believe in, a story from your childhood, your favorite book or place. Then listen back. You'll hear your voice differently. You'll notice your tone, speed, and energy. It's not about judging yourself. It's about becoming aware. And awareness leads to improvement. Step 3. Find a safe listener. Choose one person, a friend, sibling, or even your pet. Practice speaking to them. Maybe you explain a topic or share something you've learned. Ask them, was I clear? Did I sound confident? What did you like most? The point is not to be perfect, it's to connect. Public speaking is never about impressing, it's always about connecting. Step 4. Join a speaking group or make one. There are amazing communities out there. Online speaking clubs, college or work groups, even WhatsApp voice message circles with funds. Create a space where you can speak, listen, grow, and fail safely. You'll meet others who feel just like you, and that alone is a gift. Step 5. Study great speakers. Watch TED Talks. Listen to leaders, English podcasts, teachers, storytellers. Notice how they pause for effect. Use simple words. Tell personal stories. Speak from the heart. You'll find that the best speakers aren't the loudest. They're the most authentic, and you can learn from every one of them. Step 6. Speak, reflect, repeat. Public speaking isn't a one-time achievement. It's a journey. Every time you speak, you get better. Every moment you reflect, you grow. So speak, reflect, repeat. This rhythm builds not just skills, but character. Let me leave you with this. You already have a voice. You already have stories. And you already have something worth saying. All that's left is to share it. Start small. Be brave. Speak anyway. Your words could change a moment, a room, a life, maybe even your own. Before we say goodbye today, I want you to remember something simple but powerful. You were not born to stay silent. You were born to speak, to share, to shine. Public speaking isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. It's about showing up with your heart and saying, "This is who I am. This is what I believe." Whether you're standing in a classroom, in a meeting, on a stage, or simply in front of one friend, your words matter. Your story matters. You don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be brave enough to begin. So speak, even if your voice shakes, even if your hands tremble. Speak anyway. Because someone out there needs your voice. Someone needs your truth. And someone is waiting to hear exactly what you have to say. Thank you for spending this time with me on the Daily English Talk podcast. If today's episode inspired you, share it with someone who needs that little push. And don't forget to subscribe, because every week we grow together. Until next time, I'm Emma, and I believe in your voice. Speak up, stand tall, and never forget, you are capable, you are courageous, and you are heard.